Junior College Board of Trustee meeting. Thanks for bringing the rain, and it's a lovely evening. Can we have the roll, please?
Trustee Broderick. Present. Trustee Budzinski.
Present.
Trustee Garcia-Guillen. Trustee Lee.
Here.
Trustee Lozano.
Here.
Trustee Mahalik.
Here.
Trustee Morales. Trustee O'Connell.
Here. We're going to 1.02, appointment of a secretary pro tem. We need that done. You're it.
We need a motion and a second for Secretary Pro Tem.
Yes.
A motion for Trustee Broderick.
Motion for Trustee Broderick, yeah.
Okay, second.
Please.
Trustee Mahalik.
Yes.
Trustee Morales. Yes. Trustee Broderick. Aye. Trustee Budzinski.
Yes.
Trustee Garcia-Guillen.
Yes.
Trustee Lee.
Yes.
Trustee Lozano.
Yes.
And Trustee O'Connell.
Yes. 1.02. Welcome. I think we welcomed everybody. Thanks for coming down in the rain. We'll have the 1.4 is 1.04 Pledge of Allegiance. Did anyone already decide? I'll do it. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. One 1.0.5 public comments. Any public comments?
There are no public comments, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. 1.1 business reports as needed. 1.1.1 City of Morris Brisbane Road Tax Increment Financial District Intergovernment Agreement.
Chair, I would like to invite Mayor Chris Brown to the podium from Morris. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you and welcome. This is the first time I've been to one of the JJC trustee board meetings, so I appreciate you guys taking the time. What this is before you, as always, you guys have been very generous in trying to work with us on our TIF districts in Morris, as we just got one rededicated here for the second time in our TIF 1 in our downtown. This here is establishing a TIF 3 out at our Brisbane Road and Route 6 interchange. You guys are kind of the last step. We've been approved by the county board and all the other taxing bodies, and it would essentially be set up the same way that we've kind of worked on things throughout the rest of the year. So we're working on getting that area, developed. We just had the breaking of ground for a new Love's truck stop there at 6 in Brisbane. So hopefully this will help kickstart some development and some interest into the area for us as we move forward. So that's kind of the brief synopsis if anybody has any questions.
Chris, you have all of the taxing bodies, school districts, library boards, all of the, plus the county board?
Yep, everybody's approved. Last night, the last two were the county board and the township. So the library, all the schools, everybody's already signed off, other than, this is the last one.
I have a question. Could you unpack a little bit for those that aren't really understanding how the TIF works? What benefit is going to be given out by approving this?
So the way we have this set up and started working it through was 70-30. So 70 would go back to us to be able to utilize to incentivize those businesses to come here. 30% would go back to the other taxing bodies once everything is established. So obviously that's going to take probably 5 to 6 years to start building any sort of increment, but that's our hope.
What numbers are we looking at?
I don't know. We're in the process of getting those numbers established. It just depends on what gets developed where and how fast.
But the 70-30.
Whatever that total pool is
Right.
after the increment started. It just depends. It'll be 70-30 of the total increment. So it may take, I don't know, it could take 10 years before that whole area gets developed. So I couldn't give you an exact number right now until it starts getting more and more established.
So we don't have an idea on the taxing at all?
No, it'd be 30% of whatever gets put in.
Could be
there. So I
10
don't know,
million?
but I don't know what size buildings are going up. So it all depends on the development of what goes there.
You're still in the development stage.
Correct. Yeah, I mean,
We
we,
really can't
They don't know.
hypothetically give a number to us.
As you probably know, the TIF is just, it's a big part of it to get business to come in.
Right.
It's just an incentive initially to start up. So after it's a 10-year increment, right? And this is the second renewal of it, so.
no, this is a brand new tip
Right.
we're
This is
establishing
Yeah,
for the area.
So
So
And
there's
it's-
nothing really developed there right now.
right. So it's gonna go for 5 or 6 years or 10 years?
So TIFs normally go for 23,
So this is, we're approving a 23-year TIF today.
correct?
Okay,
No, it's just an agreement for us to move forward.
got it. Okay, all right, thank
To
you.
establish the TIF. It's not even created yet until,
I tell
this
you
is
what,
just the beginning.
you've done a fantastic job with Morris. My wife and I have gone there a couple of times. My cousins live there, so I think this is a good thing for us and for the community. So you're gonna get a lot of businesses on board, so.
We're getting a lot of interest, but we're
Especially
waiting
with that-
until we can get a TIF
Especially with
established.
that truck stop coming in there, that's gonna be a lot
Yeah.
of businesses want to go in there. So
Yeah, we're real excited to get them going. They should be up and running by November, so we're real excited.
sounds good, so.
And especially having a campus down there too.
That's right. Maybe more. Who knows? Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
1.1.2, Dresden Nuclear Power Station Real Estate Property Tax Assessment Agreement.
I'd like to invite Mr. Jeff Heap, our Senior Director, Financial Services and Controller, to the podium.
Good evening. I know I got two of them here. We're talking about Dresden first, right?
Residents first.
Back this past fall, so just like 6-7 months ago, the taxing body started meeting with Exelon, now Constellation Energy, to kind of start the process of negotiating a new tax deal. We've had tax deals with them going back probably at least 20 years, because the current one's up with tax year 21. After a few proposals back and forth, there was a tentative agreement reached. Basically, it continues the old one, same principle, same concept. But since the other one had been kind of a flat tax bill for at least 7 years, there was a inflationary factor added in that kind of upped everything about 8%. So how this deal is structured, at the end of the day, Exelon pays this dollar amount. The total under this proposed agreement to all taxing bodies would be $26,250,000 per year for the 5 years. Prior to that, it was 24 something. 24,244. It's also, it almost doesn't matter what their tax bill calculates out to, it's what they'll pay. So to back into it, you back into the assessed value of the property. In the Coal City area, we're the only ones affected by tax caps. So you got to factor and project, does it fit within our projections on our tax levy? The way this deal is structured, and it's just a continuation of the last one, it's a very favorable deal to us. Based on the assessed value, it's estimated to be put in here, and that may fluctuate a little bit. I just got an email from Whitlaw yesterday that instead of the 530 million, it may be bumped down to like 515 or 520 million. It has no effect on what they'll pay. But the calculated tax rate for that would be closer to 32 cents, and our tax rate's about 29 cents. This is a very favorable deal to us. It'll have the common, company can't appeal anything during the agreement. And it's very good, especially for the Coal City area where these taxing bodies, this is a large percentage of their budgets. For us, it's only 2.5%, but some of them down there, it's 90 plus. And then there is something, I don't think it would really ever play into us if there was a natural disaster, the ability to kind of do an additional tax levy just because of tax caps, but the school districts down there would potentially be able to play into that. All the taxing districts have given tentative approval. Constellation Energy, Terry Moritz, and Stu Whitlaw, they're doing the final dot the i's and cross the t's on the agreement. Expect it within about the next week that it would be on for basically the May board for approval, and I'd have the final agreement by then.
Hey, Jeff?
Yes.
How would they handle new property? If there's any new property, it doesn't go anywhere, we don't get to claim the new property?
There hasn't been anything added out there that I'm aware of. It's the existing nuclear power plant.
Okay, well, if they ever did the new property, there would be nothing that we'd be able to claim.
I mean, I don't think they've done really any new buildings to speak of out there. Maybe they've added some dry casket storage. Just because I know that's an issue with all the power plants is where they store the spent nuclear fuel.
Is this a 1-year agreement?
No, it would be a 5-year agreement.
It's a 5-year agreement. So this prohibits them from going to PTAB then?
Yes.
So they're in agreement for not going to PTAB at all?
Oh, yeah.
So who initiated this? Us, them?
The taxing bodies out there led by Coal City School District, Dr. Bug, have always worked very well together to negotiate these agreements with all parties at the table. So, I mean, all the taxing bodies were there and a couple of representatives from Exelon, Constellation Energy.
So you see us not suffering any
No,
deficiencies at all? It looks like it's better because of what,
Very good.
because our tax rate, as you said, is 29 cents.
Yeah.
Got it.
Anything else? No?
Next.
Okay. Next. 1.1.3, Intergovernmental Cooperation Agreement creating LSP Kendall Energy LLC Tax Bodies Consortium.
This would be just an intergovernmental agreement to primarily share cost for, there's a power plant just north of Manuka. It's on the right-hand side of 80. It was built around 20 years ago. It's got some history. It started out assessed. There was an appeal by some of the taxing bodies out there. The review board upped their assessed value. PTAB ruled in favor the other way, so there was a multi-million-dollar payback. And there was a 10-year agreement structured to lower their assessed value to just $100,000 for 10 years as kind of payback for that. That 10-year deal is up with the 21 tax year. So the taxing bodies, we've had 2 meetings just to kind of get thought process of, is there interest in doing a consortium and getting all the taxing bodies together to basically have an appraisal done, work with the counties, plans to be on board, the assessors, just have an appraisal done. Because there's really nothing else like it because this is Kendall County, in Kendall County. And then try and get it put on the tax rolls at the right number. And hopefully maybe even include the company so they don't get in this mess of appeals and PTAB going forward.
How many will be in the consortium?
Yeah, it'd be Manuka High School, grade school, Three Rivers Library, Manuka Fire, Village of Manuka, Kendall County, along with the Forest Preserve of Kendall County, Seward Township Road District, and I always say it wrong. You say Lisbon Seward Multi-Township Assessment District. So I know the village, I believe the grade school have definitely signed on already. I'm waiting to hear on the others, and I'd have that because it'd be asked to be voted on at the May meeting.
Okay.
Like I said, we only represent about 3.18% of the tax bill. It's not going to be a large number for us, even with the appraisal. And if there's other stuff, I don't see our cost being more than $2,000 or $3,000 at the most.
So you said it's right now it's assessed at $100,000 because they're making the up for the incorrect years.
Yeah, and I attached to the memo to the board. There's a 3rd page. That's the memo from 11 years ago. It gives you a little more history on it.
And then do we have an idea of what we think the assessment would be at this current real estate market?
It's Kendall County, so every county is potentially different on what is real property, and that's where they kind of lost on this was how Kendall had appraised stuff in the past. It's all past practice. PTAB ruled it should only be worth like $6 million, but that was 13, 14 years ago.
Mhm.
That's why they want to do the appraisal.
Okay.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's not new construction. It's not going to probably truly impact our bottom line of our tax levy, but the other taxing bodies out there are not tax capped.
You got me sold, so.
Will this be coming for us in May? Will this be a May
That would be the plan, yes.
plan for May for both
Yes.
point 2 and point 3 on this
Yes.
one? Thank you.
We're good?
I'm good.
I have a quick question, and I think this is more towards Dr. Mitchell. These were green sheeted. They were here waiting for us when we came in. Is there any reason why we can't get these ahead of time?
The green sheet, these were business reports. that-
Right, so
Tonight
we don't have access to read these before?
We can work to get them with them.
If you can,
What we
please.
can do if possible to get them ready for the board.
I appreciate, thank you.
The only one tonight is 1.1.1, the city of Morris. Obviously, it's a time constraint, but
Right.
you'll receive them one month and then vote the next month. Don't worry, Chris, I've got your back.
Yeah, because
That's the only one that we have for the vote tonight.
just, I'd like to be better prepared, to ask appropriate questions, but when we just get here and we're looking at them here now, it's like, we ask, are there any questions? Well, no, because we haven't really had time to read them. So that's all. Thank you.
Right, and just know too, if you have questions following the meeting, absolutely email me and we'll get you those responses.
Okay.
But we can work to get them in the board packet next month.
Great thing. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Jeff.
Thank you, Jeff. 1.1.4, annual employee benefit update and renewal.
So this evening, I'd like to invite Dave Torrey. He's here with us virtually from Gallagher to provide the board with the annual update on our the college's insurance. So, Mr. Torrey.
Thank you, Dr. Mitchell. Can you hear me?
Mhm.
Great. All right. Good evening. Thanks for having me. We're here to walk through the annual renewal process, similar to what we've done in past years. So with that, I've got a presentation. I believe I can share my screen. Should we see if we can get that up?
There you go.
All right. Can you see that?
Yes.
Excellent. All right. So far, so good. So as mentioned, we're looking at the renewal for July 1st. We've got the medical as well as the stop loss, the dental, and the life and disability that were up. We'll talk tonight about the medical. That's certainly the largest portion of your spend and where we spent most of our time with this. As directed by the college, we went out for a full RFP this year. The public bid was done earlier this year and effective for July 1st. A number of carriers did decline to quote. Cigna, United Healthcare, Humana. We're all looking at Blue Cross as much more competitive than they would be. So they declined. We did get quotes from Aetna and a third-party administrator called IPMG. As you can see here, from an administrative standpoint, fixed costs with Blue Cross slightly higher than Aetna and IPMG. However, when we add the claims costs, and certainly we'll talk to a little detail here in the next couple slides on that claim cost and stop loss, the renewal with Blue Cross Blue Shield is much lower than the Aetna or IPMG options, saving you about 6% from those. So we would recommend staying with Blue Cross for our medical plan. Big reason in network analysis, that's the majority of our costs in the medical plan. With Blue Cross Blue Shield, again, highest projected discount rate at 60.2%, and certainly much larger network utilization than the others at over 99% of our claim dollars paid in network. So with that, that represents about a $687,000 savings, about 8.3% to the other proposals. Again, recommending staying with Blue Cross with the most competitive network and claims costs.
Dave, where is our copies for?
Yes.
Because we're reading for the first time, and this is something critical and important to us. As Alicia mentioned to the stuff that we just had, this should be in front of us instead of on the video with you presenting virtually. Do we have copies of this sent to us that we can access?
Dr. Whitehead, are you able to print copies? Do you have them?
I can. We can't get copies given to everyone. We did not send it out in advance. This was the same format that we've used, but I can make some copies for you to review it as we go through.
Something as critical as this, which is a dollar situation and a benefit, I think all of us should have it so that we can see.
Absolutely. No problem at all. I'll grab some copies real quick and you'll have them as you go forward.
Great, thank you.
You want to postpone this and move on to the next point and come back to this? Is that something we can do?
I'd like to have it in front of me.
Yeah, is that something we can do, Carl?
Yeah, you can just pass this and then come back to it.
Okay, so Mr. Torrey, if you can unshare your screen and then just give us a few minutes and we'll call you back up.
Sorry, Mr. Torrey, we do want to have this in front of us.
Right.
Okay.
I had a copy, so I assumed everyone had one, so we'll get them.
All right. Then we'll pass this and we'll go to the moment of 1.2, moment of silence.
Okay, this evening, thank you. This evening, I'd like everyone to take a moment of silence to reflect on the following. Agnes Tolios, mother of Tom Tolios, inventory control clerk for the Joliet Junior College bookstore. Edward Schuld, community member and former JJC student. And Paul Joseph Mary Jr., brother of Jill Gear, senior human resources generalist in the college's Division of Human Resources.
All right. Thank you. 1.3, recognition of special guests. Any special guests? No special guests. 1.3.1, recognition of outgoing student trustee presidential plaque.
We will have this in tandem, so Dr. Amy Cuspa-Sims, if you join us at the podium with Chairman O'Connell. So Trustee Lozano, if you'd like to join at the podium as well.
Well, good evening, everyone. Again, my name is Amy Cuspa-Sims, Manager of Student Activities here on campus. On behalf of Dr. Farmer, Dean Vasquez Barrios, and myself, I would like to take this opportunity to thank David Lozano for his service as our student trustee this past year. And just want to say a couple words. You know what? We all have the opportunity to see David in this space presenting on behalf of the student body at the Board of Trustees meetings, at trainings, networking, working with so many individuals on campus in a very professional space. But I have a very unique lens through my glasses here and through the Office of Student Activities window. You know what? My favorite time when I get to see David is when I get to see him passing very casually past Office of Student Activities, and he sees a friend and he greets him with a smile. I get to see David show up to other club activities and events hosted by different clubs and organizations and some of his friends on campus just to support. He actively attends the Collegiate Club Council meetings and student government meetings. And he always says, what's going on and what can I do to help? We have great conversations about keeping up with his academics. We also talk about, let's see, when he's practicing in the accordion, his next fishing destination, because we both have that in common. What's our next fishing lake destination, and when are we getting our fishing license for this year? Did you get yours yet?
I did, but I lost it.
I haven't gotten
Like, I have
mine
to
yet.
rebuy that.
It's on my to-do list. You know, these are all qualities of leadership. But to be honest with you, my favorite quality of leadership that David possesses is the words of support and the kind words that he shares with his peers, with all of us in this room. So David, on behalf of all of us, to you, thank you for all that you do.
Thank you.
David, in recognition of outstanding service as students, Illinois Community College, District 525, Joliet, Illinois, student trustee, April 21st to 22nd. Congratulations. You did a great job.
Okay.
Your turn.
Well, you know, I just want to say it's been quite a journey. I can't believe it's been a year. I really can't. It's gone by so fast. I want to thank all my mentors for really helping me with this position, guiding me. At first, I was really overwhelmed. I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm going to do, you know. But as the times went on, I got very, very comfortable. I got to know all the trustees. So I just want to thank my fellow trustees, all my mentors out there, the staff, faculty, my fellow students, student government. We got a couple student government members here. Mansi Patel, president of student government. We got Josh Stamborski, another student government member. So I want to thank everyone for that. And I will never forget that. I had a great time here. And man, I'm just going to take a look at my plaque real quick. Yeah, it feels so surreal. Wow. Just year went by. Wow. But I will still be around. I have like another semester left. But I want to thank you all. I wish everyone well. And yeah, that's all I have. Thank you so much.
We'll miss you, David.
So the next, under Chairman O'Connell standing up there, the next 1.2.3, oath of office and seating of new student trustees. So
So I would like to also echo one of the things that David said before I introduce a new student trustee is honor our Student Government Association and all the work that they do because they work very closely with the student trustee. And when the student trustee is looking for information or support from their peers, that's their go-to here tonight supporting your peers on campus. So now I would like to take the opportunity to introduce to you our next student trustee, Joshua Stamborski. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Joshua resides in Joliet, and he is a physics major, hoping to get his associates, in science here at JJC and then transfer to a four-year institution. And Joshua is very, very interested in governance and understanding processes and policies. And I'm very, very excited for this opportunity and all that he's going to learn in this space with all of you here today. So thank you, all of you, Joshua. And I would like to give you an opportunity to say a few words. And
I was stuck in a game, so forgive me. Hello, everyone. My name is Joshua Stamborski. I'd like to take a moment to time service. Amy did a fantastic job. Did student government. I really do have a pair of shoes to fill. Thank you, David. I appreciate it. To the board, I'd like to thank you for this opportunity to serve you all.
So, please, I state your name. Yeah, that.
I, Joshua Stamborski,
Do solemnly swear or affirm
I do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of member of trustees of Joliet Junior College,
to discharge the
that I will faithfully discharge
that I will faithfully discharge
the duties of the office of member of the Board of Trustees
the duty of the office of member of the Board of Trustees. There we go. Let's
Yeah, let's read it. Of Joliet Junior College,
do Joliet Junior College,
Illinois Community College, District 525,
Illinois Community College, District 525,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
You have to sign.
I'm gonna put a signature there, huh?
Yeah.
All right.
I'd like to thank both David and Josh. You guys did an excellent job with our presidential candidate and with the student questions that I saw you diligently both working on the night before, that I gotta say you guys did a great job. Good coordination with both of you. Thank you for your participation.
Thank you.
David, I'm gonna say that we're gonna miss you. I learned a lot from you as well, but you're very courageous. And I'm gonna see you in the community because we run in the same circles. But just, I'm very proud of everything you did and you represented very professionally and I'm very proud of you.
Thank you, Trustee Morales.
I tell you what, David, I'm glad you're not going to be presenting in front of me because you take a little bit of my pizzazz away when you do your student report first. Josh, you got big shoes to fill on that one. Okay, appreciate it. So.
Thanks again, David.
No problem.
Sorry I'm not there in person, David, but you know, you definitely have done a wonderful job. We are all very, very proud that you were able to represent JJC as a student trustee, and you are definitely leaving shoes to fill. So thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Lee. Appreciate it.
All right.
Back to Dave.
Okay, thanks. Would you like to go back to 1.1.4? Annual employee benefits update and renewal.
Mr. Torrey, if you could begin again, all of our trustees have the presentation in front of them, so it might be helpful.
Okay, we'll start from the top then. Let me see if I can share the screen again. All right, hopefully you can see and hear me there.
Yes.
Yep.
Perfect. All right, so as we were discussing and walking through the presentation, certainly looking at the medical plans. So the medical marketing was done with the full public RFP. We've got the 3 responses. Obviously, as indicated here, Blue Cross Blue Shield was slightly higher than the Aetna and IPMG on the fee portion of that. But when you add in all the claims costs that we'll talk about here in a minute, Blue Cross Blue Shield much more competitive and certainly saving about 6% off those other 2 options. Therefore, we would recommend staying with Blue Cross Blue Shield for the medical plan. As I was mentioning, we did a full network analysis, so really identifying the claims costs, which is the bulk of the cost in the medical plan. Did a detailed analysis of that. Blue Cross Blue Shield had the highest projected discount rates, certainly the highest utilization of in-network providers, and provided the greatest cost savings to the JJC plan. So again, recommend staying with Blue Cross Blue Shield, as overall those 2 components, you would save about $500,000 off of the other 2 options. The other big part of our cost is the stop loss insurance that we buy for large claimants. Had a number of groups carriers that did provide quotes on this. The incumbent Symetra came in with a renewal about 12.1% increase over current. We have a more competitive quote from BCS. That is a Blue Cross Blue Shield affiliated companies. They're owned by Blue Cross Blue Shield companies across the country. They provided a quote with a 10% savings to current and about almost 20% savings to that Symetra renewal. So significantly less. They are willing to lock in that renewal with no additional claims required, eliminating the risk of any other large claimant coming up this month. So with that, we would definitely recommend moving to BCS and be looking for just the approval to move forward with that stop loss tonight. So renewal highlights. We mentioned the medical on the PPO side, the impact to the premium with that most competitive Blue Cross option was 11.4% increase over current. Certainly this year, as we look at trends and increases, certainly the provider and hospital price increases, double-digit increases on specialty prescription drugs, a number of other factors impacting that. 11.4%, a good number for us this year. We'll look to put some options in place to reduce that a little further this month. I believe we're working through and identifying some specifics around that in our workshop later this month. The HMO renewal, much smaller population, came in at 7.5% increase to current. Dental, a much lower 2.8% to current. And our vision is still at our current funding. So no increase on the vision yet. And then, as we'll see here with some of the detail, the life and disability coverages have renewed with no increase to current premiums there. So as we look back, certainly over the last 5 years, we've managed the plan very well. Very few increases in that PPO plan. Obviously, with COVID and some of the things that are going on post-COVID here, with regard to medical trends, we're looking at an increase in utilization and claims costs, which is driving that projected increase in the PPO premiums. Within that, I believe there's the budget impact is much less, looking at about 6%. There's a number of things that go into that, including your workers' comp. So that's budget impact is much less, obviously, than the 11.4%. But certainly, we've benchmarked these plans, identified that your plans are in competitive positions. Not a lot of room this year, certainly with what's going on in the talent wars out there. It'd be our recommendation to leave those benefit plans as is and not shift a lot of costs to employees. Conducted the full medical stop loss and dental RFPs, make sure we have the most competitive numbers for you. Going forward, did that medical network analysis, and I identified that certainly from a cost standpoint, Blue Cross Blue Shield was the best option out there. And then from a satisfaction and service points, obviously Blue Cross Blue Shield has served us well. So our recommendation would be to stay there this year with the plans. Well, that's our quick overview tonight. If there's any questions, certainly let me know. Otherwise, I believe, Dr. Whitehead, you can correct me if I'm wrong tonight. We're just looking for indication that we should move forward with the locking in the stop loss. And then, as I mentioned, we'll be in front of you in a couple of weeks at the board workshop to identify other cost-saving measures that we're recommending.
Could you please explain the stop loss portion of it? Because I'm not understanding. I have Blue Cross and Blue Shield too, and I was in the hospital for 30 days. My company doesn't have stop loss. yet Blue Cross and Blue Shield cover me pretty well. And I'm just concerned, what is the stop loss? Is that something that's keeping the premium down because we're going to do stop loss?
Yeah, so the Joliet Junior College plan is what we call self-funded. So we pay our own claims. So for that example, a 30-day stay, there's a large hospital bill. Blue Cross Blue Shield would be paying the claims, administering the claims for us. But Joliet actually pays the claim costs up to a point that we buy our stop loss insurance to make sure that we're not spending $1 million on a large claimant. So we cap that at a much lower number. We buy that insurance. We pay a monthly premium for that. And that insurance stop loss carrier covers any individual claimant that goes above those on a large claim basis, so that we cap the liability and the risk to the plan for the college.
And what's the cap on the stop loss? Because if you're in a hospital, and it's not a vacation, of course, but it does look like a vacation when you look at the end all bill, what is the stop loss portion that we stop at?
Well, the stop loss is what the college is paying within the cost of the plan. What the individual pays is what we call an out-of-pocket maximum. I think that's what you're asking in terms of what the individual pays out of their pocket. That's a much lower number. I believe it's $3,000 right now in the PPO plan, a little different in the high deductible plan. But the stop loss that we're purchasing on the individual claimant's cost to the college for those claims is $250,000 now. Okay.
When you're talking about the PPO plan, okay, is it 100%, 90, 80%? Because in corporate USA, I have a 90%er. So I'm trying to understand if.
Yeah, so what you're talking about are the benefits. Oh, go ahead.
I was looking to see if that was even discussed or looked or researched.
Yeah, that's looked at every year. That's benchmarking that we do. Bear with me here. Let me go back. So that benchmarking that we do with the benefit plans, we look at that every year to look at deductibles, out-of-pocket maximums, what's our co-insurance percentage, how that compares to other plans in the marketplace, what other employers are doing, across our region, as well as across the country. So all those things are benchmarked to identify, that the plan is competitive and not undercharging or overcharging employees for those benefit rates.
What's the deductible for the single and what's the deductible for the family?
I believe the deductible under the PPO plan is $1,000 now, with 2 or 3 times for family. And then the high deductible health plan, I believe, is a $2,000 deductible now. Oh, actually, I take that back. We don't have the high deductible plan in place yet.
You just have the one plan. You don't have the high deductible from what I could see. And do they have an HSA? HSA at all? Health savings plan?
Or an FSA?
I'm sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, go enjoy your tacos.
Can't hear 'em.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. I somehow that got muted there. So yes, we have the PPO plan and the HMO option. I'm sorry. And the HMO does not have deductibles.
You have an HSA, health savings, a savings account?
Or an FSA?
You have an FSA?
Dr. White.
So it's a forced savings.
Podium so you could answer questions at the same time.
So it's a forced savings, which means they have to use it within the calendar year of the cycle.
Correct.
Or HSA, why don't we have an HSA for the employees then, which could carry over for the following year?
We don't have a high deductible.
So that's because, okay, that's what I want to make sure. Okay, so there's no HSA. And as far as you show a 6% increase, Jeff, what does that represent dollar-wise for our budget?
Beat me to it. I was gonna ask that.
A lot of money.
You got to understand, I'm real concerned because I know what my thing cost me last year.
That in our, my question was, do we budget for that already?
Yes, we factored 6% into our financial plan.
Okay.
Go ahead. Ann.
6% would represent how much?
It has some other stuff included in it. You're talking just the insurance. Our self-insurance fund, the total budget's around 15 million. It was, I want to say around 14 something last year. But that includes an allocation. Our internal rate is a higher rate than just the health insurance. It includes workers' comp and stuff like that. And that's been trending very well. And there's a couple other things being looked at that we'll talk about more at the workshop in a couple weeks that could potentially, hopefully will, if they can be done, can reduce that proposed or estimated increase. At the end of the day, we're self-insured, so we'll pay actual claims. So right now it's just a guess of what those will be.
So when you're showing on this chart that he has, he has on this chart, the basic life, FSA, employee assistance program, those are not included, but those are something that are offered to our employees or not?
Yes, they're offered.
But is that included in the quote? Because I'm sure that the basic life and disability goes through another insurance, correct? Oh,
My right-hand shoulder, not my left-hand shoulder. That's through the consortium, right? Yeah.
that's a consortium, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And when they have basic life and accident, do we pay or do they pay? The employee pays? Who pays for that?
Basic life, basically the college covers.
The first.
Yeah, whatever's in either the board policy or the union contracts.
Okay.
Employees can buy optional life, but they pay for that.
They pay for that. Okay. Okay.
The long-term disability, employees pay for that.
Okay. All right, I'm done with my questions. Anybody else?
Good right now.
No further questions? Okay,
What we just have as clarity for the original question that we are asking for the board's approval to move forward with the renewal on the contract so that we can be prepared moving forward with those going forward.
thank you. 1.4 selected reports. 1.4.1 proclamation designating May as Asian Heritage Month.
Okay, the reader for Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month is Jewel Laganero. Jewel is a business marketing and entrepreneurship major. She has attended JJC since August 2020. Currently, she works as a student intern in the Student Advising Center and involved as a peer mentor in the JJC or peer mentor program. Lastly, she is a part of the National Society of Leadership and Success. One personal fun fact about Jewel, she is Filipina and had a chance to live in the Philippines for 3 years. Welcome.
Thank you very much. So today I'll be going over the Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month 2022. Whereas citizens of the Asian and Pacific Islander ancestry comprise a percentage of the residents of Illinois Community College District 525, and whereas the contributions of the citizens of the Asian and Pacific Islander ancestry of the history and culture of the United States are invaluable and abundant. And whereas it is the goal of Joliet Junior College to provide its students with a comprehensive curricular and co-curricular educational experience with consideration given to the contributions of all socially identifiable groups within American history and culture. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Trustees of Illinois Community College District 525 Joliet Junior College, counties of Will, Grundy, Kendall, LaSalle, Kankakee, Livingston, and Cook, State of Illinois hereby proclaims the month of May as Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month in Illinois Community College District 525, adopted this 13th of April 2022.
So moved.
Second.
We have roll please.
Trustee Broderick,
Aye.
trustee Budzinski.
Aye.
Trustee Garcia Guillen,
Yes.
trustee Lee,
Yes.
trustee Lozano,
Aye.
trustee Mahalik,
Yes.
trustee Morales,
Yes.
trustee O'Connell.
Yes. 1.4.2 recognition of retiree David Harney. Is David here?
I do not believe any of our retirees are here this evening. If you are, just put a note in the chat, but I was told by HR that we wouldn't have anyone in attendance.
All right, so,
Mr. Chair, if there's not going to be anybody here and you want to call each one of those out, you can do a motion 1.4.2 through 1.4.9 and approve those under one motion. If you're not going to call anybody out, because nobody's here for those.
right, we'll just go through each one and
Yeah,
call
exactly.
the motion at the end.
Correct.
1.4.2, recognition of David Harney. 1.4.3, recognition of retiree Mary Beth Luna. 1.4.4, recognition of retiree Kimberly Carlberg. 1.4.5, recognition of retiree Dwayne Stonich. 1.4.6, recognition of retiree Nancy Collins. 1.4.7, recognition of Catherine Anderson. 1.4.8, recognition of Danielle Lisecki. And 1.4.9, recognition of Kyle Richardson.
I'll make the motion to approve 1.4.2 through 1.4.9.
Second.
We have a motion, please. Can we have the roll, please?
Trustee Broderick,
Aye.
trustee Budzinski,
Aye.
trustee Garcia Guillen,
Yes.
trustee Lee,
Yes.
trustee Lozano,
Yes.
trustee Mahalik,
Yes.
trustee Morales,
Yes.
trustee O'Connell.
Yes. 1.4.10, recognition union report by Dr. David Marsing.
Best.
Tonight we have Mr.
Doctor.
Professor
Sorry.
Dr. Bill Hogan with us this evening.
I made you, sorry, Bob.
I'm Bill Hogan, not
Yeah. I know.
Marsing. Yeah. Bob is at a AFT Local 604 event. He's had where he's more of a participant than a spectator, so he chose that. We don't have that much to say. I'm going to congratulate our retirees. I'm not going to start talking about them because I'll leave somebody out, but I will mention that like Dwayne Stonich and Kyle Richardson are both current members of our union executive board, right? So then others have been involved, a lot of faculty on that list. They'll all somehow be replaced. We don't know how. I used to not believe they would be, but you see it happen, right? Yeah, I wanted to mention that. Oh, I want to answer the question. You mentioned you have a 90-20 plan, 90-10 plan. We have an 80-20 plan. We're 80-20.
You're 80-20?
Yes.
Thank you for mentioning that.
Yeah. That's in network. It's not as generous out of network.
Right.
I think that's it. I wanted to explain why Bob's not here. Yeah. Oh, and for some of you who don't know who I am, I've been on the union as long as Bob. Bob and I ran together, right? You shouldn't be impressed I've been on the union that long. You should be impressed I've been friends with Bob Marsing that long.
Good one.
Yeah, longer, right? I think it's a tougher thing than you think. All right.
Thank you.
All right. 1.4.11, Adjunct Faculty Union Report. Ms. Disco.
Thank you, and good evening.
Good evening.
I want to start by thanking and congratulating the two student trustees, incoming and outgoing, and the other members of student leadership and government who are here tonight. Thank you for your involvement and your service. You make a great contribution and we appreciate it. As the board knows, the adjunct faculty contract is on the agenda for tonight. And this is the culmination of a year's work on our part and administration's part. And I want to thank the board for your support of this contract. It's been a process, but adjunct faculty play a very important role here, and this contract is an acknowledgement of that, and we appreciate that. I also want to thank Dr. Amy Gray and her leadership the administrative team. I've been involved in union activities for a long time. And so I've also been involved in contract negotiations in a number of different settings, twice here and several other times in a prior life, so to speak. And some of them have been very hostile, and some of them have been very cooperative. And this whole process was on the very cooperative end. This was probably the most respectful and most professional negotiations I've ever been involved in. And so I want to express my appreciation for that as well. I know Dr. Gray was in charge of the team, but I also know that the tone is set by leadership. And so I appreciate all of your role in setting that tone. So thank you for your support in this contract and for your leadership of the college. And that's the ends of my report for tonight. Thanks to the opportunity to be here.
Thank you for your professionalism.
Thank you.
1.5 minutes. So do this the same as.
Well, 1.5.1, those are your regular minutes. Those should be approved separately, but then your special meeting minutes, you can approve those, call them off as you did previously, and then approve them in bulk.
Okay. 1.5.1, approval of the minutes of regular meeting on March 9th, 2022.
Do we need to add the adjustments, the changes? It was green sheeted with adjustments.
Yeah, they're as presented, yeah.
Okay, as presented, okay.
As presented. 1.5.2, approval of the minutes.
Hold on, we need a vote on 1.5.
Okay.
Mr. Chair,
All
sorry
right.
about that.
We have a vote, please.
Trustee Mahalik,
Yes.
trustee Morales,
Yes.
trustee Broderick,
Aye.
trustee Budzinski,
Yes.
trustee Garcia Guillen,
Yes.
trustee Lee,
Yes.
trustee Lozano,
Yes.
trustee O'Connell.
Yes. 1.5.2, approval of minutes for special meeting on March 10th, 2022.
So moved.
Second.
I think we're he's gonna read all
All
through them
together?
and then do them all together.
For all the
Correct.
candidate one?
Yeah.
Correct.
1.5.3, approval of minutes for special meeting on March 14th, 2022. 1.5.4, approval of minutes for special meeting on March 17th, 2022. 1.5.5, approval of minutes for special meeting March 18th, 2022. 1.5.6, approval of minutes for special meeting March 23rd, 2022. And 1.5.7, approval of minutes for special meeting March 28th, 2022.
So moved to 1.5.2 through 1.5.7, inclusive all dates identified in those items.
Second.
Go ahead, Kelly.
Trustee Broderick,
Aye.
trustee Budzinski,
Yes.
trustee Garcia Guillen,
Yes.
trustee Lee,
Yes.
trustee Lozano,
Aye.
trustee Mahalik,
Yes.
trustee Morales, and trustee O'Connell.
Yes. 1.6, communications. No
There are
communication.
no communications, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Ms. Rogers. 1.7, approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Please.
Trustee Broderick,
Aye.
trustee Budzinski,
Yes.
trustee Garcia Guillen,
Yes.
trustee Lee,
Yes.
trustee Lozano,
Yes.
trustee Mahalik,
Yes.
trustee Morales,
Yes.
trustee O'Connell.
Yes. 1.8, 1.8.1, approval of the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Go ahead, Chair.
Trustee Broderick,
Aye.
trustee Budzinski,
Yes.
trustee Garcia Guillen,
Yes.
trustee Lee,
Yes.
trustee Lozano,
Yes.
trustee Mahalik,
Yes.
trustee Morales, trustee O'Connell.
Yes. Okay, so motion for the consent agenda.
All done.
Okay,
You just approve, it's all approved.
all right. Two point one.
Actually, the, 4.5,
Okay,
That's not in the,
4.5, Mr. Chairman, is not on the consent agenda. That's the IGA, yep,
that's out of it.
not on the consent agenda.
correct. So you need a motion to approve 4.5.
So moved.
Second.
Go ahead.
Trustee Broderick,
Aye.
trustee Budzinski,
Yes.
trustee Garcia Guillen,
Yes.
trustee Lee,
Yes.
trustee Lozano,
Yes.
trustee Mahalik,
Yes.
trustee Morales, and trustee O'Connell.
Yes. 5.1, student development. No action required. 6.1, new business, old business. Would anyone like to bring up?
6.1 was a request by trustee Broderick from last month. She had asked Jim Sir to present an update on the American Sign Language interpreter responses. So trustee Broderick, I don't know if you want to say anything, or are you okay with Mr. Sir coming to the podium?
I'd like him to come up and do his presentation because we have more to follow on that. So I'd like to see what he has to present to us.
Thank you, Dr. Mitchell, Board of Trustees. I don't have an actual presentation other than the information that's been provided at this point. The American Sign Language interpreters are $40 an hour. We do have 2 of those interpreters at each meeting. They do have to take breaks due to the duration of the board meeting. So other than that, there is no new information to report on that topic, unless there are any other questions.
The total cost to date, Jim, you were going to have that for this.
Total cost to date would be $160 per meeting. And so we're roughly $2,400 per year.
Have we had anybody call or respond to needing this? Or was this trustee initiated?
This was trustee initiated initially.
Okay, so we've never had a request for this.
When you say a request, can you
Request from
clarify?
any of our people that would be viewing, or any of our students, or any of our students' parents. I'm looking to see if there's a need, what the need is, if the need is out there, or if it was just driven by trustees.
This was trustee initiated and requested initially. I don't have any knowledge of any request that came directly to me specifically on that.
And being that we are YouTube, how quickly is this meeting put up on YouTube?
It's live streamed, so we have a live stream of the meeting in progress. We also record that and make it available after the fact as well.
And when it's live streamed, is it English and Spanish? Can they choose a language when it's live streamed at all or not?
Yes, all of the above.
So then typically, if we have someone that is doing the sign language, they could be seeing the verbiage on the live streaming of what the meeting's about.
Yes, but that's for a different purpose.
But a person with a disability could see that, right?
They can, yes, depending on what the specific disability is.
Right, but I'm just saying, if we're looking at something for what we're doing with sign language, it's hearing. So if we can see it and they can visually see it, then it's there, because you can't see sign language if you can't see. And if you can't hear, but you can read, I'm looking at what the capabilities of the YouTube are. Okay.
We're just talking.
Yes, Trustee Garcia Guillen, I have a comment for this. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much for sharing a little bit of the information that you had already provided. So thank you for that. So just so that I am clear on the information. So far, we have only spent $2,400, correct?
That's on an annual basis, correct?
Okay, perfect. So again, in the spirit of being able to reach out to community members, being able to get community members to have the same information, this is nothing compared to other expenses that we're doing as a board. So I think that we should really continue and actually expand to other ways that we can be more accommodating to other community members that may have disabilities, may speak different languages. This is something that we have been talking about for a while. So in terms of expenses, if we want to look at it that way, 2,400 is nothing compared to other things that we just approved today, like parking lot improvements that we're talking about 268,000 for and other things as well. So this is nothing. Of course, the parking lot is also important. So I definitely understand that, but it is also crucial that we are making sure as a board that we're not cutting back services that we have already talked about that are going to be beneficial for community members. That is our responsibility to do as we move forward. Thank you. And thank you again for the information.
We're talking $2,400 in an annual budget basis for this is what we were saying, right?
Correct.
And do we have figures of, we can't determine who's using it just for sign language when they log in, then obviously, right?
Correct.
This is investing. I'm sorry, were you finished, Jake? I'll stop. Let me know when you're done.
I just don't, I mean, is there a chance there's someone watching? If there's someone watching it, that's, I mean, it's $2,400 cost per person, obviously, but we don't know how many people, but I'm not against it. I mean, it's a minimal budget for it, so I'm gonna say I'm probably gonna support it if it comes to the vote, so.
Of the translated meetings, again, we have on average 10 to 12 viewers per month.
And it's live streamed, which means they can see it on YouTube. And it wasn't administrative brought, it was trustee brought. So
if it's trustee brought, it's from the public because we're elected by the public.
But if it's trustee brought, it means that the administration did not see a need for it because the administration, as they dealt with in our discussion, what Dr. Farmer presented, we have all of those accessibilities for everyone to see that you and Trustee Garcia did not see before when we had all the other things brought to the attention of the YouTubes and the need for the Kudo. Is that Kudo?
Kudo.
Kudo. There's things that we're duplicating. And if it's trustee, I look at what administration is recommending, not trustee at this point.
I respect all of our fellow administrators and our trustees that volunteer their time. So I just as equally respect what trustees bring to the table because we sometimes see things, and I didn't bring this forward. I don't know who brought this forward, and I don't care who brought this forward, but I'm glad somebody brought this forward because if we really seriously say that we are a diversity, an inclusive and equity-minded institution, we are going to support this. If we say we're not, then we are just lying.
I disagree with you because the DEI is there when we.
That's called inclusion.
Dr. Farmer shows that we had all of these capabilities. We are there. We are doing what we need to do.
It's an empty title.
We are now duplicating and paying something that the taxpayer should know that we're paying for that's not in the requisite of the administration.
This is for the Americans with Disabilities Act, and I say that we continue to support that. This is inclusion, and this is for humanity, period. So I'm going to support it if it comes to a vote.
Trustee Lee has her hand up.
So I have been going over various things in Illinois. And one of the things that we do really well here is repeat the same service over and over again, and we are not helping in other areas where our community is needed. So I understand both where Garcia Gann and where Alicia, trustee, are coming from, but at the same time, I agree with Maureen. I do not think that we need to be repeating services that we already have covered and that we could focus on finding ways. This is already covered. It is translated. It's at the bottom of the screen and it may be a minimal cost, but when you get a bunch of programs that are duplicating the same services over and over and over again, then it's definitely a budget problem, right? And then we're putting money into one area over and over again. And so I will not support repeating services that we already have covered. I will not be supporting this if it comes to a vote.
Where do we source the interpreters from? Are they students or are they outside professionals?
They're outside professionals.
Just so you know, this is up for a vote tonight, 6.2.
How long have we had this service? I think we've had interpreters at every graduation since I've been here, and I'm going on 8 years. Yeah, so this was a trustee long ago. So I'm going to continue.
With Zoom and with all of the advancements in technology and with COVID and everyone kind of really getting on board, that's where this may not be needed any longer. And I think that we all need to be ready to move into the future, especially with technology, and be able to embrace things. And if we can save money in one place where a service is already offered and already covered, I just think that it's advantage to just for us to find other ways to serve our community than repeating the same service over and over again.
Dr. Mitchell, I think it was pretty early on in the pandemic where we enhanced what we provide to the Board of Trustee meetings and added the American Sign Language interpreters. It wasn't from day one in the pandemic, but I think it was, I'd have to go back and look, but I think it was within the first 2 or 3 months that we did based on the request to add that capability to the meetings.
Wasn't it in 2021?
It would have been in 2020, I believe.
I don't know if it started in 2020 or.
No, it was 2021.
It was 2020.
We were investigating, I had thought.
Right. It was 2021 when
We can go back and get an exact date.
It was on the prior board is the one that dealt with it. And that would have been 2021 because it was in the fall of 2021 that we started it.
I think that was just, what, 5 or 6 months ago?
Right.
We've had it longer than that, so.
Right, we've had I would say in 2021, it began in 2021, but we'd have to look up this specific.
Yeah, we can find that pretty quickly. I can provide that information as a follow-up.
Attorney Buck, can I make a motion to suspend this conversation for 6 months? Well, we don't have the information we're looking for as far as dates and starts, and I don't want to make a decision based on what we're assuming right now.
Yeah, so you're on 6.1 right now, Trustee Budzinski. So that's essentially discussion of this topic, and then 6.2 would be approval to continue it. So if you want to put in your motion that you want to continue it for 6 months, then that's how you would continue that service for 6 months. If that's what your motion would be.
Thank you. So is that what we should like to do? 6.2?
I think that's a good compromise. Let's give it a year and then a full year, and then at that point, then if we don't see improvement in the numbers, then we go.
This is embarrassing.
We do it for 4 months.
I would like to, first of all, I have information here that says we started this due to COVID. COVID's not over. We're still making changes because of COVID. So if this in fact was implemented by COVID, then we need to put this off for a little while. Today's not the decision day for this. So my motion is to suspend this conversation for 6 months. Well, we got a motion and a second to suspend for 6 months.
So it would be Board of Trustees approval of continuance of American Sign Language interpreter for a period of 6 months.
Then reevaluate.
Correct.
Then
That's the way I'm interpreting the action.
Right.
So it will continue for 6 months.
Correct.
Then we reevaluate at that time.
Correct. You got anything else, David?
No, I just wanted to, okay, as long as we're gonna reconsider it in 6 months.
Okay. All right, good motion to second to suspend this for 6 months.
Who second?
So it's gonna be in progress for 6 more months, and then we come
We'll
talk
bring
about
back.
it.
Right. Mhm.
Okay.
Correct.
We're
It's
going
going
to
to continue.
send a vote on it.
Okay. I'll make the motion.
Second.
Do we have a second?
I thought you made the motion.
I made the motion, but that's okay.
You got to second it.
I'll second it.
All right. Then let's vote on it.
Trustee Budzinski,
Yes.
trustee Garcia Guillen.
I just wanted to add, this shouldn't be a debate at all. We should be moving forward on it, so I'm not okay with suspending the decision.
We're not suspending it. It's going into progress for 6 more months, and then after that, we're gonna vote on it for the year to just see what the number is. So it's active still, Nancy.
Right.
It's
It's not a,
suspended.
it's not a vote to suspend. It's a vote to continue for 6 months. Right, not table, vote to continue for 6 months.
gonna
And
be
then
active.
6 months from now, it'll be brought back for a vote.
So we can go ahead and continue it, and then we can make the good decision to continue for longer, okay?
That's a yes, huh?
It's a yes then.
Yes.
All right.
Trustee Lee,
Yes.
trustee Lozano,
Yes.
trustee Mahalik,
Yes.
trustee Morales.
It's embarrassing that we're even having to have this discussion. It really is, because we are excluding our Americans with disabilities. And so,
Yes or no?
I'm not finished.
This is not discussion period. This is yes or no.
Too bad. Okay, so this is just embarrassing period. There's a community college, we're excluding a certain group of people. Yes, well, you're gonna delay it and then that's just gonna be brought up in 6 months. So yeah, I'm gonna take it for now because this is a motion on the floor, but this is ridiculous. We're even having this conversation.
Will you, please?
I said yes.
Okay.
Trustee Broderick,
Yes.
trustee O'Connell.
Yes.
Thank you, Jim.
Thanks, Jim.
Thanks, Jim.
6.3, Joliet Park District Partnership.
This item was asked to be added by trustee Alicia Morales for discussion this evening.
Sure, can you share the information I gave you because I don't have that in front of me, Dr. Mitchell, please?
So from your original email?
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay, let's see. Okay, so I can start back from March 18th. Does JJC currently have any partnerships with the Joliet Park District? And if so, what do we have in place? And to my knowledge, other than job openings, they might contact JJC to post in Career Services Department. Is there something you're specific looking for or someone I should contact? So your response, do you want me to read? Are you okay with that?
Yeah, that's
okay.
fine.
Okay.
Everything we have is foilable, so we'll go
Right,
ahead
I mean,
and
this
read
is
it.
our
Okay,
email,
that's
so
fine.
I'll read verbatim.
Were
So,
we included in those emails?
no, you were Chairman O'Connell.
So why wasn't the rest of the board included?
Because that's Open Meetings Act. So she's communicating with the president. That's okay.
It's not a board item, it's a discussion, yeah, just.
But it's a board item now, so why wouldn't we have been included in the emails?
I don't know that why there wouldn't have been a report, but if it was trustee initiated, then it would have been a report from the trustee, so.
So I can give to trustee Morales and then she can share because she has to add. Would you prefer that?
I just am surprised that we're hearing the reading instead of seeing the print. Because I thought that one knows, all knows when things are brought to the attention of your.
Well, typically the same, like the sign language interpreter, it's brought and it's added for an agenda item for a topic for open discussion. So new old business. So I mean, I'd be happy to give this to trustee Morales. This was her initiative that she wanted to bring forward to add under new old business. So I can absolutely give those to you.
Yeah, since she's the one bringing it.
So basically, I was asking Dr. Mitchell if we are a community college, and while we interviewed all of these candidates for the president role, I noticed that a lot of our candidates stressed the word community and how important that is. And what I asked Dr. Mitchell is if Joliet Junior College, being a taxing body, if we have any partnerships with Joliet Park District. Because I know that a lot of the park districts have been hit really, really hard with the pandemic and they're really struggling. My email read, some facilities such as Hartman Center and Knoll Park, who serve the underserved, underrepresented areas in Joliet, are in desperate need of financial resources to maintain valuable resources sustainable and available to local youth. How can I help you find a way that allows JJC to sponsor or partner with the Joliet Park District and support the initiatives mentioned below. Some of these areas, they need assistance with their summer camp program, Camp Braveheart. My own children benefited so much from this program when they were children. I struggled to pay for it when I worked at JJC, but my kids loved it so much I would use most of my tax refund to help pay for this. The Park District needs about $15,000 for transportation, supplies, t-shirts, meals, and activities to keep this summer camp active. They would also like to host family resource nights for the community at Knoll Park Recreation Center and need resources somewhere in the ballpark of $5,000 to help pay for food, supplies, and giveaways. The Knoll Park Rec Center, NPRC, would like to start a high school basketball league. The league would be for individuals, students who do not make the school teams, having only 2 high schools in the area that serve about 6,000 students really makes it difficult for everyone who tries out to make the sports team to be selected. When students are left behind, they tend to turn towards negative activity. Park District staff would like to be able to provide a league where youth can become involved in the Knoll Park facility. Many park districts run these types of programs and they are very successful. They believe if they market this to the Joliet campuses, there would be a lot more interest, especially for students who were not selected to participate in their high schools. The Park District coaches are volunteers and they are also mentors. Joliet Park District coaches would work on a volunteer basis with the goal of mentoring these learners and mentoring them to being a more positive people in the community and a person with great positive character. This league would be for 9th to 12th graders who are not in the school basketball team. It would run for about 10 weeks with a single elimination tournament at the end. The high school basketball team needs about $20,000 to get this initiative started. I'm recommending that volunteer coaches receive some form of stipend. The cost of gasoline is really high and they could use some help to pay for their gas at minimum. JGC cannot work on enrollment alone. We need to have a sustainable partnerships with our local taxing bodies since we are all serving the same constituents. We really need to use all of our collective resources to support one another and to do it in an organized, transparent, and sustainable manner instead of working in separate silos. This would help uplift our communities and can help minimize the mental health problems. We also spend so much time and resources looking for ways to solve the opioid epidemic instead of looking inward and find holistic, comprehensive, and proactive ways to prevent substance abuse. As a community college, I believe it is our duty to be engaged in the holistic learning experiences as well as the emotional development of our youth from the time they enter preschool and kindergarten. If we wait until high school or college, we've already lost them. We have already lost so many of them to our community, and our communities cannot afford to lose anymore. Last year, we lost 2 of our bright JJC students when Holly Matthews and Jonathan Ceballos were gunned down at a Halloween party by 2 other local young troubled students. We have an opportunity to partner with the Joliet Park District and do good and do better in the community. Thank you for considering this. And then this is where Dr. Mitchell said she would like to speak with Chairman and with her team. And then the last, I knew that you were having Dr. Farmer reach out to the managers over at the Park District. I gave contact information. And so from that point, I don't know what led after that.
All right, so she met with the Park District and they had very excellent conversations. They're going to continue to meet. And the thought process is to include the Park District with similar to our community outreach through our ambassador program. And so there were many initiatives that they spoke about that we could help and provide that support. With the exception, it wouldn't be the financial support that you had requested in your email. And that's one of the things, I give you all of my notes. So, I did reach out to the Illinois Community College Board because it's important to me to find out that, again, that we're responsible, our, fiduciary responsibility. And from Dr. Durham from the ICCB, he said that the rules do state that you have to account for all unrestricted revenues and expenditures and financial planning for current and future operations, and they should provide a sound educational program and prudent use of public funds. Community college appropriations are provided in support for college operations and education. So I highly recommend you evaluate this decision against this criteria. So that's important to keep in mind. The other the important area to keep in mind is that we serve 7 counties. So to use taxpayer dollars for one specific Joliet Park District when we serve many communities could be, you know, everything misconstrued and, you know, inappropriate use of funds. So our intent is, and our goal going forward, Dr. Farmer is leading this initiative. She will continue to work with Joliet Park District, and again, like many of our organizations, and continue to provide that support where necessary and where feasible. And we'll see how that progress goes.
And I understand how you said if we help one, well, then in that case, I think we should help all of them, because financially we do have funding where we can enter into some kind of intergovernmental agreement or something to work, because we're sitting very pretty right now financially. We're sitting well, especially with the tuition increase that was just passed. But when you have these kids that are, and look at all of our 7 counties, don't just look at Joliet. Okay, I just know Joliet because this is where I live, and I've been working with Park District on these concerns that we have, because they're affecting the kids by the time they get here to our door. And this is something I would like to see us do a little bit more thorough support when they're younger.
And I understand, and we are involved at K-12 level at the community college. Obviously, it's very important for us to engage our youth early on in their, you know, in their actions. In fact, that's why we're working very closely with the YMCA as well, to partner with them as well to serve the underserved students and the children in need. You know, yes, the college is fiscally responsible, absolutely, and I'm extremely proud of that. We've made some very difficult decisions, but keep in mind that us too, that we have been able to weather the last 2 years with CARES funding that's helped support some of our revenue loss. The tuition increase was passed to support new personnel because that's a reoccurring revenue source. We cannot look at those one time. At the same time, when we talk responsible to our community, we are investing in the education of our students. And so that's where our priority is, to start a conversation to utilize our funds to support communities as a much larger conversation. I think that is something that that I would recommend bringing that up at a future board retreat, because again, you're talking about institutional funds. You're talking about the appropriation that's provided by direction by the ICCB for college operations and education. So it's a much larger conversation. So my recommendation is going forward, yes, we will continue to reach out to all of our communities. We encourage our communities. I just had a meeting most recently with Will County. Will County has CARES funding, and there's CARES funding available for municipalities for various programs that there's a process to submit. I know I can tell you from Joliet Junior College's perspective, we're working with our higher education partners. We're working with our healthcare partners to submit for grants and funding to support not only healthcare positions, but education because of the teacher shortage. So we are working together collaboratively to request those funds to support some of our programmatic growth. And I encourage all of the park districts and municipalities to do the same. And take advantage of that funding while it's available. But my recommendation at this point would not be to move forward financially.
When you're speaking, from what I understood, partnerships, and in talking to Dr. Farmer in regards to partnerships, it was not financial related, it was more partnerships with the organizations, not financial involvement. And the Park District is another taxing body, another tax voting body. When we talk about intergovernmentals, and I'm going to call Carl on this one, because when I did my days of intergovernmentals, it was a business that we did service for service to each, not giving money. We gave an allowance of cutting the grass for allowing them to use this field or whatever. Intergovernments have to be agreed upon, not cash-wise, but more service-wise, correct?
Well, I think Dr. Mitchell raised the ICCB restrictions that you have. So you've got to follow those restrictions to maintain your accreditation. I mean, for starters, and then from there it goes to finances. So I wouldn't say per se that you couldn't provide a financial component to your partnership agreement. I don't know that it would be a direct transfer of money. It may be providing a service that causes you to incur a cost, which would be a financial obligation.
I can understand that.
You know, so I don't know that for certain, but based on what we know about the ICCB and, you know, in Illinois, like it or not, and I appreciate Trustee Morales' comments, you know, all of the different layers of government that Illinois has and the different taxing bodies are required by law to a certain degree to stay in their lane. So we do have more restrictions as a public community college than maybe some others do. I don't know that it's impossible, but it would certainly have to be consistent with not only the law, but your ICCB regulations, which they set for the purposes of accreditation. So I don't know, I've analyzed it through that filter, but that's how I would start.
And then I understand too, last night, the Joliet Township had a meeting, Alicia, and you approved for the Joliet Park District, $35,400 for their basketball league. Warehouse for Justice, $5,000. Antigone VFW chairs and table upgrades for $14,000. And then family and friends for vets for $7,500 and another $5,000, I don't know. And I know the question came up about videotaping your meetings, and it was said that you didn't have the money. I guess I'm questioning, are you bringing that because you guys at the Joliet Township, the board you sit on, you're bringing it to us because of that?
No.
I'm in a quandary.
No.
Because if this was approved and what you just mentioned in your email, it sounds like the Joliet Township just did enough money for all the items that you mentioned in your email.
I'm not a voting member of the Joliet Township, okay? So no, what I'm bringing is completely separate from that.
Okay. Well, I feel that being a tax levying body, I don't think we should get involved with giving money of that nature. And I don't know if anybody's seen the budget for.
I have the budget.
Are they balanced?
Our district, as of January 26th, filed a budget that is totally balanced. I agree with a lot of what Alicia's asking for. I coached national coaching license. I've coached for 25 years, and I know how hard it is to get the kids onto the field. Unfortunately, we're in the wrong board meeting to be discussing this. That discussion should be in the Park District Board on how they can accommodate more people, not how we can accommodate more people for them. That being said, though, community outreach, I would still expect to come out of Kelly's office or somebody, you know, hey, this is good for the college. This is how we can grow enrollment and come out of it that way. I would have no problem with it that way.
We can consider that.
Carl mentioned fields, or, you know, I would have no problem even volunteering. I have a national coaching license. I have a son that coaches for the Chicago Fire. We come out here every day during the summer and coach kids in soccer without a problem. Those are things I would willingly do, but I can't ask taxpayers. Now you got to keep in mind the geographical overlay of our district is the 7 counties that Dr. Mitchell had mentioned. Obviously more than one park district, and I won't even list all the towns here that I've listed that have park districts. We can't solve all their problems, but we can come up with solutions that can help all of them. And what Dr. Mitchell said, working with Yolanda Farmer, and again, if it came out of Kelly's office saying that for community outreach or advertising or promotional, that would be a different way to look at it. Then we're not giving money at will to another taxing body. And yes.
I appreciate your comments.
We both know that kids on the field is better than kids nowhere, no one knows where they're at.
Correct.
And I've helped many kids over the years to get into colleges, 4-year schools with athletic scholarships. There is an avenue for them, and I'd be happy to talk to you about this, but I just think that the portion of this asking for funds is in the wrong board meeting is all.
Thank you, I appreciate
The
that.
effort to help these kids is with all of us.
Right.
So.
Nancy, you.
Yeah, yes, I have. Yes, thank you. I just wanted to add that I am supportive of figuring out a way that we can continue to partner with the Joliet Park District or any other type of entity, so that way we can go ahead and share the information about JJC and any other services. Again, figuring out the best way to do it, and based on our limitations, but also the resources that we have, and being able to share some of those resources and being able to help the community members.
Absolutely. And we will continue to do that, as again, you know, Dr. Farmer is leading this initiative to review. Kelly Roeder-Tonelli she oversees all of our ambassador program. So we continue to expand. You know, I'm very pleased. We have over 60+ employees that have, you know, volunteered their time to serve on many of the organizations throughout our district. So we're extremely pleased with that. And we continue to look for, you know, identify additional employees to cover those, you know, those services. You know, if there are marketing opportunities, you know, Kelly works very well with her team to provide that marketing support, you know, those additional funds that are requested. So this will be no different than that. So I appreciate you bringing that to our attention. You know, I look forward to the continued partnerships we have and how we can support them academically, holistically. And, you know, we will continue to support all of our partners, much like what we have been doing.
Thank you. And that's basically what I want. I want this to be an ongoing conversation on how JJC, our community college, can have a stronger presence with these other agencies that are struggling also because of COVID. That's all.
And you know what? Actually, we have our workshop coming up, and I was just thinking, maybe what we could do is I'll invite Kelly up, you know, for a brief presentation, and she can provide you an up-to-date presentation on where we at, how many organizations we serve, what that looks like in that outreach, and that might help you as well.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Dr. Farmer did say that she's meeting monthly, Alicia, too, to make sure that she's got everything encumbered on what they're looking for and what we can offer. So that is something that's on, you know, her agenda, Dr. Farmer's attention.
I didn't know that, but I'm glad.
That was in the email that I sent you.
Okay.
She told me that this afternoon when I asked her about it, when I saw the item, and she said that was all entailed and that Dr. Mitchell would bring that up.
Okay.
Yeah, it's in your email, in the email that yesterday or the day before.
Okay. Thank you.
I would love to see all those kids running around with the purple Wolves shirt.
I would too. I really would.
Absolutely.
Okay.
If they make it here.
Well, I mean right now, a 6-year-old kid running around with the Wolves shirt on,
Yeah.
get it in their mind right away where they're going.
Right, exactly.
What's available.
Call them the little wolves, right?
I mean, little wolves, you know,
the little
so-
wolves.
Exactly.
All right, Wolves. How about 6.4, Board of Trustees approval of the 10th president of the Joliet Junior College?
So moved.
Second.
Go ahead, Kelly.
Trustee Broderick,
Aye.
trustee Budzinski,
With enthusiasm, yes.
trustee Garcia Guillen,
Yes.
trustee Lee,
Yes.
trustee Lozano,
Yes.
trustee Mahalik,
Yes.
trustee Morales.
Yes.
Trustee O'Connell.
Yes. 7, new business, Board of First Reading, Board Policies. No action taken.
You want him to make a comment?
Sorry?
Dr. Klein is on.
Want to introduce
My
him?
understanding he's on the screen.
Dr. Klein's here? Okay. 7.1,
Wants to say something, doesn't he?
this is not for 7.1. Okay. Go ahead.
Chairman O'Connell, thank you. I appreciate that. Trustee Broderick, trustee Garcia Guillen, trustee Budzinski, trustee Lee, trustee Mahalik, trustee Morales, trustee Lozano, outgoing trustee Lozano. Congrats, David. Trustee Samborski, thank you all so very much. I'm so incredibly honored to follow in Dr. Mitchell's footsteps to serve as the next president of JJC. I want to thank Presidential Search Committee for their efforts and really everyone who was connected to the search process. Each and every one of you made me and my family feel right at home. I was struck by your generosity, your passion, and most of all, your kindness. During my time on campus, some of JJC's values were on full display. Collaboration, humor, integrity, respect, inclusion, and quality. You are exactly who you claim to be, and I am so fortunate to be your next president. I need everyone to know who cares about JJC that I will work tirelessly and relentlessly for our students, our employees, and our communities. I want to thank the board for your confidence in me. I realize how important JJC is to the communities you represent and the communities we serve. I promise to work really hard to honor your confidence in me. JJC occupies an important place in the history of higher education, and it's been a source of hope and opportunity for so many students for so many years. Together, we will ensure the strength and significance of JJC far into the future. And Mr. Chairman, before I officially yield back, I want to invite my family to share in this moment with me. Many of you met them on my visit. They're on this journey with me, and so
Gianna's excited.
our youngest, Kainoa, and my wife, Tiana. Many of you connected with them, and I just thank you so much for your hospitality. We're really looking forward to calling JJC our home. Thank you for giving me the chance to share some thoughts, and have a great night, and we will see you all very soon.
Thank you, Doctor.
Congratulations.
All right. Now that I almost gave short shrift to the new president, we'll go back to the number 7, new business. First reading of board policies. There's no action taken.
If you don't mind, I would like to introduce them. Is that okay?
I was gonna call 7.1 board 1.4.0 board travel. Is that what you're interested in?
Yeah, so I'm just gonna go through
Okay.
every time that they're on the new for the first read on the agenda.
All right.
I'm just quickly go through. So 7.1 board travel. There were some updates related to technology. For example, we still had MapQuest in there to calculate mileage. Other updates were including allowing trustees to calculate mileage from their home or JJC when attending various events out of town. 7.2 building and location identification was updated to stay current with regulations defining what each campus is called. Residency, there were updates including how to deal with residency issues of students that are in the custody of DCFS, as well as veterans. 7.4 out-of-state residents, there were some updates that included online courses as well as the NCSARA. So if you would like to look into any of those more, it's just a brief overview of all of our policies for this month.
Can I make a comment?
Go ahead.
On the travel one, Michelle, the only thing I see, and I know you have it where you have it under B, I think it's B, for travel regarding mileage calculating using online map provider from trustees home in alignment with board policy. The only thing I'm going to ask that you take into consideration is that even though we may travel from point A to point B, but if we have to go out and do our meals, and this is where I run into where I have to state that 10 more miles was used to find a place for a dinner place to go to, because if there's nothing provided at the hotel, you do have an extra mileage that's calculated in. So Dr. Mitchell, I know you're aware of that I have to put that on my little thing when I write that I did do meals and I had to travel for my meals to get my meals. So I'm just saying, as an added, there should be something in there that states allowances, even though it's mapped to home, whatever, there are allowances for travel to location for restaurants within the boundaries of the area that you're in.
Dr. Mitchell, is it okay, do you think when we referenced the board policies in there, the way that it's written, that we do reference a board in regulation in compliance with that board policy? Do you think that we need to take this back and rechange that? Or do you think that it's okay the way that it's written now?
You know, we can look at that, and Trustee Broderick, and I know it's difficult to identify like each area you travel to. You know, I know Carl has his hand up, but there are those one-offs, I want to say, that occasionally, because typically the restaurants are within walking distance or they're in conjunction with the event, and it's very rare that you have to go, you know, someplace a little bit farther. But Carl, I don't know if there's something that you think specifically, but they're, you know, I mean, they're just.
This is set by state statute primarily.
Right. I mean, I don't know.
We've never had any problems adhering to it, and this is the policy. So if we want to address something in the procedure, they can address it in the procedure, but it doesn't.
So, and you have the procedure. Trustee Lee asked me to pass out the procedure for you. So if there's something right specifically in there that we'd like, you know, that we can modify.
To the procedure wise, but the actual policy doesn't need to be that detailed as long as we're stating that we're going right.
Right. The policy is more global, where the procedure gets more into the minutia.
Yeah, and just to give you an example, I'm going to give you some examples of what happens when I do my traveling with ICCTA. We may go to the college. After we come from the hotel, we drive to the college because they don't pick us up from the hotel. We go to the college where we're having the meeting. And then we drive to the different campuses that they have because sometimes they don't provide us with the transportation. And then we go back and then we have an outside event to go to, which has happened on numerous occasions. And I've had to explain to the prior person that did payroll, or that did the payroll amount on it, of what I did, because Joan has always had to go back and say, well, she did this, and she did that. There's got to be something that eases it, because if we're giving you our mileage, we're giving you what we've actually put on our calculated thing that I hit when I'm traveling.
Right. And as long as it's documented, that we have something that you submit by email here, here.
I do.
Right. And that's what we use to resubmit. So again, it's not.
Do you ever have a problem, Maureen, being reimbursed for your mileage?
Well, it's just that your question, because every time that I put my mileage in, Joni would have to come back and say, well, they're only giving you this because this was the mileage from point A to point B. I said, but I traveled from the hotel to the college to the restaurant, from the restaurant back to the hotel.
Right.
And then,
Just document that. Just document what those travels, and then you're fine. It's
okay.
And I think, well, we need to add something to the procedures that state simply, for any other driving while you're in town, to calculate that and turn it in. I don't think that should be a big deal. So maybe we can add that to procedures. I just need to hold up the policy or bring it back to if this is something that can be added to procedures, and it is, we want to keep them broad. We don't want to have too much in the policies.
And you want to be cautious too. And we look at this for all of our employees, that you're not just taking your car and going to the mall shopping for clothes. You know what I'm saying? So you have to be, you have to look through a very close lens. But as long as you document, I had to go here for dinner, so that's fine.
Or, if you forgot a toothbrush and needed to go to Walmart to get, a toothbrush or deodorant or something. I mean, it's not.
That's personal. You can pay for it. So.
Yeah.
And it's not so much at the
So
national. It's not so much the national side of it. It's more the local ones that are in state, and that's the only reason I'm bringing it up, because I know I'm probably the only one that has seen it for the last 6, 7, 8 years. That I have to, identify that when I go to the local things. So that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. I just don't think it would be that much, driving when you're going to, unless it's personal, maybe 10 miles, but, I would hope. I mean, some places in Southern Illinois, I don't know, and I haven't been to the meetings, Maureen. So I'm going to take your word on it that you have driven 10 miles to go to get something to eat in Southern Illinois at some of those meetings. So we'll add something to the procedures for you, okay?
Thank you.
Okay. 8, old business. Second reading board policies and approval consent agenda. 8.1. Oh, that's good.
Consent.
We've already done that. Good. Reports. Representative of the JJC Foundation, Ms. Mulvey.
Christy is unable to join us this evening, but she did provide me with her report and asked me that I read it. She was very pleased to share that last week they kicked off their annual employee giving campaign. A big thank you to all of the employees that support the foundation and JJC students. The event is baseball themed, and it will culminate with a Joliet Slammers game at Dooley Health and Care Field on May 31st. To date, more than $75,000 has been committed by the employee giving for this year. Working in conjunction with the admissions office, scholarship outreach efforts continue by visiting area high schools to meet with graduating seniors. Joliet West and Joliet Central have already been visited with a visit to Plainfield Central planned for the end of the month. Additionally, we will connect Wiley with students around main campus by distributing seasonal treats and nearly 250 scholarship application informational cards. To date, 1,253 students have started the application for the fall 2022 semester. The spring appeal has been sent to nearly 1,200 homes, highlighting a male nursing student who is a current recipient of Dr. Judy Mitchell's scholarship. A special appeal to endow Dr. Judy Mitchell's scholarship is being done in honor of Dr. Mitchell's retirement. Remember him, Christy. The scholarship supports returning adult students and will be mailed to prospective donors next month. The foundation's annual report will be in the next edition of the Connections magazine, which is anticipated to be sent at the end of the month. Night of Stars will be taking place on Thursday, April 28th, with nearly 225 attendees registered. We're looking forward to an in-person event honoring the award recipients. The athletic golf outing is scheduled for July 15th at Nettle Creek Golf Course in Morris, Illinois. Sponsorship monies received towards this and other events this year is just shy of $70,000. And the next foundation meeting for the executive committee is scheduled for Wednesday, April 20th. And that concludes her report.
Thank you. 9.2, Representative Dicey, CTA.
Thank you. Some dates to put in your calendars. The Illinois Community College Trustees Association reception is downtown on June 9th from 4 to 5:30 at the Chicago Marriott downtown. If anyone's interested in going, this is a celebration of 50 years of trusteeship with the ICCTA. And this is something that everyone should feel comfortable in going to because they are holding a conference down there too. And if you are interested, let Kelly know. We have to know by June 2nd if you want to go or not. And then on Tuesday, April 26th, we have a parliamentary procedure for community college trustees. It's a virtual at 12 p.m. You can watch it live. And parliamentary rules will be discussed, quorum, agenda, standing order of business, handling motions, methods of voting, and rules for small boards. And this can all be done and registered through Kelly. Kelly can register with the ACCT. It's a good thing to know and to understand what all these issues are, especially parliamentary procedure that will be discussed there. And then I wanted to let you guys know that on March 11th and 12th, Dr. Mitchell and myself attended the ICCTA quarterly meeting. Alicia, I'm sorry you couldn't make it. I know you had intended to. It was a great meeting, and for that, I'm going to move into our slideshow. You guys all have the presentation that is sitting in front of you that we had copies provided. But I want to share this because, you know, when we go to the ICCTA quarterly meetings, they have genuinely great meetings for us, learning meetings. This is a finance one, which was presented by the Blackhawk College, Community College. Dr. Mitchell knew him, and it was a very well presented piece of information for us. We are responsible for the budgets, looking at our budgets, looking at what we're spending. We're also responsible for approving a levy, a tax levy. And right now, that is a very critical piece that every taxpayer is watching us, because when they get their tax bill on May 1st, I'm sure questions will be raised as to, did you raise our taxes or not? And when we voted on our last one, I think Jeff said that we were at 29 cents per thousand, correct, Jeff? Yes. So we are a very low taxing body, very low. We have a cap of 75, correct, Jeff? I'm going to call Jeff up. He's my assistant on this one.
There's tax ceilings depending on what the tax line is. The ed fund education is 75 cents, O&M's 10, audits like half of a penny, and liability protection and settlements, like audits even lower than that, it's like 0.05 cents.
Right.
Half a cent for LP&S. So those are the rate ceilings, at least for us.
Right.
But under tax caps and everything, we're well below that.
And that's something that you should all be proud of, that we take pride in, because we're showing how fiscally responsible we are. And that's why I think coming to these sessions are great. The weather going down was horrible. It took us, I think myself, it took over 3 hours because that was the night of the snow. Dr. Mitchell the next morning was another 3 hours to get us down. But I got to say, this session was very well worth it. These sessions that they present to us have a lot of meaning and a lot of success in making us better trustees. So that's why I'd like to present this to you. And Jeff will be there. He and I have gone through this so that we have, you know, any questions you have, we have answers for. But I think you should see what we did learn when we went through it. And I'm going to start with, I'm hoping I get this right. This is what the content of it's going to be. I'm not going to read it. I'm going to let you just go through it because it's on your first page, because I don't want to make this a long session. But these are very critical things that all encounter in our decisions of approving budgets and approving our tax levies. And this is where our finance, which is the biggest portion of what we are responsible for, is knowing where our money for the taxpayers is spent. And then we're going to go to the overview. We're going to talk about education, the O&M fund, auxiliary, bond and interest, working cash, audit, liability, protection, settlement, which is the tort, and restricted operations maintenance. And just so you know, the auxiliary is the operation, really is operation to pay for itself, even though we have it up there. And there are things that fall into, like the working cash is the internal line of credit. And you learn all these things as you're going through, so you understand when you're approving things. Next slide. Auxiliary fund. This is a fund that's intended for self-supporting. Our student activity fees fall under this, our greenhouse, our auto shop, photo IDs, bookstore, and non-credit classes, correct?
Yeah, a lot of our non-credit and food service.
Right. So this is where this comes. And we have everything that reports to the IPEDS, which is the reporting system. All the schools have to report this information, classes and students, and if they're part-time or full-time students, correct? It
I'm
depends.
assuming I'm not 100% sure on what student is reported iPads, but I know it's a lot of data.
Yeah, well, this is the data that all the community colleges gather to use to gather the statistics that they need when they're looking for their funding and everything. This is, we're looking at the auxiliary, where the bookstore funding comes from, so you guys know where all this stuff is coming from and where the funds come from for this, for the revenue. The next slide is for the educational fund. This is the tuition and fees, property taxes, and state payments. What's this for? Instruction, student services, and institutional support. These are things that, this is something I hope you keep as a guideline when you're going through and we're assessing our budgets and our tax levies when we're approving those. The next slide is O&M, the operation and maintenance fund. State payments, property tax. 99% is funded by property taxes. So you got to understand that we have to be very sensitive to our taxpayers, our consumers out there that are paying our real estate taxes. The functions, custodial, maintenance, and utilities. And with us, it's also campus police, roads, and ground. Correct, Jeff?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The next slide is bonds and interest. This, of course, is an easy one. This is property taxes, limited debt service. We pay principal and interest payments. That's what it's for, to reduce our bonds. We have nothing else we can do but pay those bonds. And the bonds were referendums that we passed to build things, to improve things. So we are responsible for that debt load. How many bonds do we have? What's the bond load that we have right now? Ballpark. And I should have said that to you earlier. Sorry about that.
I want to say 140 million, I think.
I think it's 140. We're one of the lower ones because most of the school districts are over 200. We are very fiscal conservative in what we're spending and how we spend it. And of course, with the addition of the.
We've done some refinancing and call-ins the last 4 or 5 years, because even just last year, we called in and kicked in $24 million of college funds when we got reimbursed for City Center by the state.
Right, which I was just going to mention, so thank you for saying that, because we did very well with the City Center. That's good. The next slide, auxiliary fund, bookstore sales, auxiliary fees. This is, we have 35% that's of the bookstore sales.
It's about what our auxiliary fund is, about 35% from the bookstore.
35% comes from non-credited courses, 5% from food service. And what do we say for student service fees? About 10?
No, it would be a little less than 10, 7, 8%.
7 or 8, okay. And the functions are for bookstore, athletic and competitive teams, student activities, and it self-supports itself. The next slide is for working cash. This is when we did bonds, and that was a long time ago. It
dates me.
Yeah, it dates all of us. But this is when we had the bonds. That's where the money would come from. And right now we're in a repayment. So basically it's only interest earnings.
The only new income coming into working cash is interest earnings.
Interest earnings. And as far as the functions, it's to ensure districts have cash on hand to meet operating needs, which means short-term borrowing for cash flow needs only with a short-term repayment. It's not for long-term repayment at all.
Correct. It's basically intended, most districts that you get property tax revenue twice a year. So it's more that.
We run short.
Yes. From a cash flow basis, from a budget basis, you're fine, but you haven't received that revenue, so you can be cash poor.
And we don't go out, I know some of the high schools go out and they do a temporary borrowing. We don't do any borrowing.
We've never issued.
We've never had to do the borrowing. So we are always in touch with making sure that our funds are there. And that's what the working cash is there to cover us if we need to before we get the second installment of real estate taxes. Next slide, an audit fund. Basically property tax and audit expenditures that we have. Next one is for liability protection and settlement fund. Once again, property tax. This is for our liability insurance, legal costs. Blackhawk has it for police. We do not. We have it in the other fund that I mentioned. Then we have the AAEEO, and we think that this falls under the
escrow. It meant more equity and HR with hiring. I wasn't 100% sure where Steve was referencing this, but, and it could be a particular office that Blackhawk has, compliance and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, I know he was looking for anything that was concerned about HR or concerned about the hiring. And then he also mentioned that we are not showing anything with the equity inclusion in that, so that we have that covered under this. And then risk management plan, which we have our risk management plan that we look at.
Excuse me 1 second. We're not even halfway through the slide. Is there any reason we can't see this at a retreat?
I wanted you to see what you missed from the meeting that we had. I think this is informative.
It is, but I think we could wait for a retreat to go over this.
Almost done with it too.
Okay, because we're only halfway there.
I'm going fast.
Okay, thank you.
The next one is restricted funds. This is grants. And next at the retreat, I will do the grant whole thing because there was a whole section on grants. And basically, it's for grantors, state and federal and local funds, trust and agency fund, and the funds, the person that's guaranteeing the grants will decide and be responsible, not the student organization, but the funder will be the one, the grantor will be the one that makes their decision on that, the use of their funds. And then we talk about revenues. You can see all of the revenues that are included. The annuities deals with the wills on the estates. That's on your next page on the revenue side. And when we go to the expenses, and I'm gonna I know Jeff's gonna kill me when I tell this, but I didn't know what the weeds and headaches were, but he says this is when people move up and there's some concern.
When you said it, I've heard them used separately, not really combined. You know, some people, in some regards, at a lower level, sometimes you're doing the day-to-day, so you're down in the weeds, doing stuff. And then as people move up into a manager role, sometimes you need to get at the 5,000 or the 10,000 foot mark and not be down at ground level doing stuff. So I'm assuming that's more what Steve was referencing, is take a higher level look so you can see the forest instead of the tree in front of you.
Sure. And then wages and benefits. That is, in our group, it's 78%. Blackhawk was 70 to 75. But the main thing you have to understand that the number one asset is your people. So if you're going to do anything to cut expenses, you're going to look at losing people, and those are your number one asset. Next things are opportunities for cost control. They're listed there. You can look at what each thing, and we talk about our union environment limits our flexibility impacting the appropriate positions. There's greater flexibility with non-union, non-rep positions. Wages and benefits we talked about. You cannot reduce personnel without impacting instruction and services. And then cost control. This they're talking about combining offices. This is what his presentation was. We are not in that position at all to be combining services. Ours are laid out because we're a bigger college. This was more for smaller colleges. So I'm going to go through the next slide and just go out of that because those were cost control issues with them. And then I'm going to go into the sample tax levy that you should see that they provided to us so that you can see what's levied, budgeted, and what last year was. This is a critical thing that you should be looking at when we're making the decision on our tax, when we're approving our tax levy. Next slide is the realignment of expenses. This is where sometimes they go back and this is what they must have done, realign this money to increase money for operations. We don't do that. And it talks about the operation of tort funds. You can get a little bit of an education on what that is about, or dealing with the payroll situation. And then the biggest fears that everybody talked about at that meeting was enrollment, long haul of COVID, unfunded pension liabilities with SIR and CIP, recruitment and retention, compensation strategies. And then the opportunities, duplication of efforts is still there, state mandates, employment advantage, and then the consolidation of districts and administrative services, which we're not doing. We're standing alone. And then always watch your fund balance to make sure that we are balanced. And we are going into our 50th year of being balanced with our budget. 50, which is impressive, Dr. Mitchell. You've done a great job in your term as being president. You've done a great job when you were the financial manager over the finances too. And so 50 years, that stands out for all of you to do. You've done such a great job, Jeff and Dr. Mitchell. Yeah. So that concludes, even though there's extra sheets on there, you can look at what the ratios are. I'm not worried about that. And as he said at the end, that's all, folks. But it's something I think you should keep. It was a great session. He went through everything. Jeff and I sat through and went through everything that Blackhawk does versus what we do. So you guys had some differentials, but I think it's key to know what the budget is about, what's included in all those funds. When you look at it, you'll have an idea of where those funds are being used and where the revenue is generated from and what the expenses are for. And with that, that concludes my.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. 9.3 student trustee report. Mr. Lozano.
Thank you. And this will be my final report. Oh my. So let's get started. I don't have too much today, but yeah. So what I'm going to talk about today is just student government, JJC Eats, Latinos Unidos, Poetry Slam, Jjc Talent Show, JJC Beckett Bites, and NSLS induction ceremony. So first off, as you know, we have some student government members here. We have President Monty right there, and we got Josh Stemborski now, new student trustee. Again, we worked heavily on the presidential search. We're thankful for the opportunity to do so, and I think we did a very good job. Yeah, no, I just want to again thank all the students who were on the actual committee. So it was me, Josh Stemborski, Monty Patel, Juliana Aguilar as well, but she's not here at the moment. But again, student government's working hard. Right now we're in the middle of a constitutional convention. So we're working on that, and because our constitution needs to be reviewed every year. So at the moment right now, constitutional convention we're working on. Next, JJC Eats. I talked about this, I think it was about 2 meetings ago. Update on that. So the first 8 weeks, year to date, they're at 4,616 meals, which was insane, in a good way, of course. They started off with 302 meals in week 1 and then 930 meals in week 8. So I will say this, I did personally talk to students. I got JJC Eats personally. I've actually gotten it multiple times. Pretty good food, and I've talked to a lot of students about it. Just getting it, and then seeing the people who actually have the same food as me, and then just going up and randomly talking to them. A lot of them are very happy with it. Saves them a lot of money, saves them the hassle of having to go out and get food. But a lot of it was really the financials for students. As you know from my survey, financials was a really big key. And in terms of that, a lot of students really were happy with the money they were saving with JJC Eats. As you know, JJC Eats is funded by CARES. It's like a very little coupon you get. They're all around campus. Basically, you get the meal of the day, or sometimes they let you just get $10 worth of food from the cafeteria. Either one. Most of the times I've gone, it's just been meal of the day, and they're pretty good meals. But like I said, it's really helped a lot of students. And as you can see, we're at 4,616 meals, and we started in, I think it was like late February is when this started, middle or late February. So it's been very successful. And a lot of the students I talked to, there we go. There's one right there. Trustee Broderick has a little.
I saw it. Not that I used it, I saw it.
Yeah, there you go. So that's one. That's what the coupons look like. But it's been very successful, and I believe it was extended till June, if I'm correct. But I would definitely encourage, I don't know when this will end. Like I said, it's been extended till June, hopefully. And but I definitely see a need for this, no matter what. no matter how long we extend it to. So I would definitely advocate, and student government definitely is in support of this program. But we don't know what's going to happen later, but hopefully we can have a similar program, something similar. And JJC student government will definitely advocate for that. But after looking at the numbers, student government was pretty happy and pleased with the work all the JJC Eats, the people who started JJC Eats have done. Specifically, as you can see in the picture, I know Dean Patty Zuccarello was one of them, but there was like 30 or 40 people who actually helped out. I can't name them all, but I know she was one of the key people. So that's one. Another thing that happened was the Latinos Unidos Poetry Slam. Again, if I'm correct, it was National Poetry Month, and for April. So this was kind of the president of the club is big into poetry. I want to give a big shout out to Andrea Barone, Esli Ramos, president and vice president of Latinos Unidos at the moment, for putting this on. Actually quite successful. They had a lot of people show up. They had 3 performers, one of them being my sister, and the other one's my girlfriend, who is actually the president of Latinos Unidos. So yeah, very good job. It was very well planned. We got some very good poetry. And again, thank the advisors as well. Cindy Vasquez Barrios is here right there. Veronica Cabrera now. And yeah, like I said, very good event. Had some food there and got to listen to some nice poetry. Also had the Jjc Talent Show. This was a very big one. Unfortunately, I was not able to attend this, but I heard very good things about it. Again, another big shout out to Sam Zigmont. She's the president of JJC Players. She's the one who pretty much did all the what's it called? She did the planning. I know she got all the tryouts going, the tryout dates going. So, and then, big shout out to everyone who participated in that as well. So that was a really nice thing. That was April 8th. That was a Friday. And like I said, I heard it was very successful. And then Beckett Bites is also coming up next week. They have the show playing. It's Beckett Bites, the play. Actually, as you can tell, I'm actually working the light board, so I'm going to actually be in the theater. So after I put this badge away, it's to theater, and taking on a new career, right? I did theater back in high school, but this is my first time doing it in college, so I'm actually quite excited to get back into it. I'll be working the light board. And so far the play's looking really nice, at least from a lighting perspective. I've so I got to see the lights at least. I haven't seen it all together yet. I'll see it tomorrow. But from what I'm seeing, it's gonna come together very well. And so yeah, that's coming up. So get your tickets. I heard they're selling out very, very quickly. So get those soon. And then we just had NSLS. Induction ceremony coming up in April 28th. I believe that's also night of what was it?
Stars.
Night of Stars. Yes. So make it out if you can. But as you know, NSLS is kind of like an honor society for student leadership, and there's an induction ceremony that day. So that's something. It'll be in U Auditorium at 6. But one other last thing is the student engagement recognition event. This was kind of a thing before COVID as well, but it was mostly, I guess it was more geared towards just specifically OSA events, student activities. But this year and the previous years as well, they've geared towards not just OSA, but as you can see, OSA, CMOS, career services, sustainability, honors, advising, admissions, athletics. So it's kind of a large event to recognize all the accomplishments of students, faculty, staff on campus in all areas. And I'm definitely going to that. It'll be in Lower J, and I'm excited to see who's gonna win. They also do they do for like student leadership. They do like Advisor of the Year, Club of the Year, things like that. So I don't know exactly what awards are gonna be this year because there's a lot more areas they're covering. But again, that's Dr. Amy Sims' area over there. So I'll be talking to her after. Can we get a little sneak peek? But definitely a great event that'll be happening pretty soon. But I just want to say again, thank you all for a great year. It's been wonderful. Definitely a learning experience. I got to see a lot of things, got to learn about governance and how a board of trustees actually works. So again, thank you for all your help. Thank you for all my mentors out there in the crowd, student government. Thank you. Thank you to all my fellow trustees. Again, welcome Klein Nemuel, Dr. Klein Nemuel as new president. But that concludes my report. Do you have any questions?
Thanks, David.
Thank you all.
David.
Great.
No
Thank you, David.
questions.
Last one. So again, thank you. And Josh, I wish you luck, my friend. I've gotten to know Josh very well. I think I have faith in him. He's going to do a great job. And like I said, I've been over his house. You know, we've gotten very close. So, you know, he gave me a free video game not too long ago. So so I have a lot of faith in him. Like, as I said, he's going to do a great job. And Josh, I just want to say it'll be a learning experience for you. Don't get down on yourself, have confidence, and just do it. You know, just do it. You're going to do great. Okay. No worries. So you will be seeing Josh next meeting. I will not be here. Well, I think I'm going to come visit. No, at the retreat, he'll be there as well. What's up?
Did Josh have to foot the bill for you for dinner or what?
Well, you know, we gotten close. So, but like I said, Josh, you're going to do good. Treat them well, guys. You know, treat them well. Always. There we go. Treat them well. And like I said, it was good working with you. Thank you again.
Thanks, David. Appreciate all the hard work that you put in.
Thank you.
9.4, buildings and grounds.
Well, tonight we approved a couple things. We did the parking lot improvements, which is not really parking lots improvements. It's more improvements to the main entrance in the ring road, I believe. They're going to actually remove the top layer, and then they're going to make improvements to those areas that need it and then resurface it. So, and they're hoping to have this done relatively quickly, I believe. And then we also improved the senior center roof access door and equipment. And seriously, this is more of a liability issue. In order to gain access to the city center, you have to go up one building, cross over to on the roof, cross over to the other access panel and go down a ramp, I believe. So this is going to make it a little bit more so we don't have those liability claims, so our insurances and workers' comp do not go up on it as well. So we're actually finalizing a couple of projects that we're finalizing that I think, as we talked before, the CDB is going to be doing the J building elevators. There's 3 of them. There's 2 main elevators and a service elevator. And I believe they're going to do one of the main elevators first, and then they're going to do the main elevator and the service elevator together, so we don't interrupt being able to go up and down that building. I know people don't like to climb stairs like me. I like to go up the stairs every single time I'm in this place. So, and they're also working on repairing the A building storefronts. There's a contract issued, and they're scheduling the field measurements for this. And then the move to the Cisco lab from the cybersecurity to the North Campus is a contract is issued and scheduled to go into construction in May. In design are parking lot improvements, and this is the contract issue and the main construction. Again, this is that what we voted on tonight with the ring road, the parking lot? Okay, sorry, I'm doubling up. So, and then also for the replacements of the rooftop units, I think the final numbers is JJC's committed to spend right around 1.4 million, and CDB commitment for this project is right around 4.3 million. And this is scheduled to go in tentatively in August, but we're hoping the supply chain issues do not affect this, obviously. Campus police station construction is going well. It looks like there's going to won't be a holdup to the completion of the project, but the air handling unit is still being shipped. For most people that don't know this, there is a supply chain issue, and lots of equipment is back ordered, at least I know through the heating and air industry as being in myself. So I'm sure we're ready to move into the new building, though. That's a good thing. So I heard that once it's completed, it looks like it's going to complete it on time, though. That we improved it. It won't be completed early, is what they're expecting, though. So,
right.
So, and then my finest. Well, actually, I got Dr. Farmer wrote me a lovely report to read to you guys on Workday. So, Workday Student Phase 1, to date, we have received a total of 9,524 applicants since going live on October 18th. The largest enrollments include Fall 2022 General has 2,431. Spring 2022 General has 2,188. Spring 2022 Dual Credit is 1,870. Fall 2022 Dual Credit has 996. And now, is that, Dr. Mitchell, is that the total? Is that just applicants? That's not.
The total applicants, and that's, I said, next month we'll make sure that we compare to actual.
Yeah, Dr. Mitchell is going to let us know how many of those total applicants turned into enrollment in JJC. Also, as of April 5th, we are up 23.9% in fall applications over fall 2021, which is a good sign. Workday student phase 2, lots of activity occurring. It is at a pivotal point in our process in which we are currently running unit testing. Workset D currently configuring a prototype unit testing, collecting information from student development and institutional research. Integration is moving quickly, and we are making critical decisions, aka residency, using a new functionality. Real life scenarios next week. The team will start life cycle testing. We will test the system from recruitment through the graduation process. That being said, that's all I have tonight. Thank you very much.
Jake, did you say that in your first part of your report, because I know there's a lot of road stuff going back to the back buildings, is that part of the road that you're going to be?
I don't believe it's that. I believe, is it?
The ring road? It's the ring road.
The ring road, so it's the initial, it's the front part.
The front part, okay.
And they said, I just verified though, you can resurface, but you can't really solve. So they said Rudiger and Tonelli's gonna go out there and pick out the points where they have to resurface and dig out and improve that before they actually repave everything, so.
Okay, thank you.
All right, 9.5, President's Report. Getting to be a short timer here.
Chairman O'Connell, do you mind, and Judy, really quick, I'm not on the.
I know I just looked at that, and for some reason we omitted the Finance Committee, which I know is meeting next Monday, but the Policy Committee's not listed either. So we'll apologize for that omission.
I don't have much. I just want to give everyone a heads up there are 2 policies that do deal with the board that are coming up next month. So just make sure that you're looking out for them and that you do read through them as they're coming up for their first read next month. And that's it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, so I have a few updates for this evening. First of all, I want to thank Trustees Broderick, Garcia, Guillen, and Morales for joining me at the ICCTA South Suburban Regional Chair Meeting, hosted by South Suburban College. And they had a focus, we heard from their lobbyists as well as the focus and the importance on DEI. It was also nice to hear, so we heard Prairie State College provided their presentation, and South Suburban College, who mentioned that they were working very closely with Dr. Irvin on all of our great work. So thank you for that. Some of my partnership visits and the outreach this past month. So first of all, to Amazon, thank you to James Walker and his team for hosting our group at their Joliet site. The purpose and intent of the visit was to identify ways to strengthen and promote programs for Amazon employees, supporting career building and placement opportunities, and to partner with the Foundation Office on the promotion of scholarship opportunities. Both Dr. Farmer and Christy Mulvey are leading our JJC team as we continue to strengthen this partnership. Next was Lion Electric. Kelly Roeder Tonelli and I attended the Lion Electric Legislative Gathering hearing from Representatives Foster, Underwood, and Caston. The Illinois Environmental Protection Agency also represented, highlighting how state leaders are working to make Illinois a clean energy leader, powering the jobs of the future. I look forward to creating a pipeline of students to fill their needs to build their future workforce. The Will County Foundation and Amazon held a competitive grant process to support new initiatives promoting economic growth in our region. I'm extremely pleased to announce that JJC, in partnership with Lewis University and Silver Cross Hospital, received $100,000 for over the next 3-year period. Trustees have great interest in our Small Business Development Center, and our team is pleased to be working on the revitalization of this crucial program. We recently hired Gary Reichert, a full-time manager who has truly hit the ground running. Both Gary and Vince met with Priscilla Cordero to strategize collective efforts on strengthening our outreach in the community, and the feedback to date has been extremely positive and appreciated, and I look forward to their continued great work and expansion. I've also attended the State of the Village, our city. Kelly Roder Tonelli and I attended the State of the Village for Plainfield. Trustee Broderick joined a JJC team for the State of the Village in Lockport. And Trustee Lee joined me last night along with Jim Sir for the State of the Village, the Shorewood presentation. Some of our community outreach to let you know. So following the Lockport, the State of the Village, I was joined by Carrie Peters, Dane Mezzagatto, Dean Patty Zuccarello, and Mike McGreal, who joined me in a business meeting discussion discussing potential opportunities for educational institutions to participate in a STAR Innovation District. Although early in the discussions, JJC is at the table along with Lockport High School and Lewis for collaborative programming to expand our student and community outreach in the area of Lockport. Pat Van Dyne and I also attended the Humboldt Road Public Information Meeting to find out what the impact will be on Joliet Junior College, our employees and our students for the construction over the next year and a half. Information is provided to Kelly, and we'll be sharing that information with the campus community and our students so they can anticipate a little bit of a backlog in addition to the I-80 construction. Trustee Broderick joined me and many staff members at the annual Zonta Luna Fest held at the Renaissance Center. The film festival was about women and empowering women, with proceeds from the night benefiting the Zonta Scholarship for female students attending JJC. I serve on that important committee, and this year the event raised roughly $10,000 for our students. I'm so appreciative of our employees who staffed the tables, showcasing the successful DEI work from JJC, and the comments shared by attendees were extremely positive. Again, kudos to Dr. Irvin and her team. This past Sunday, Christy Mulvey and I attended a Morningstar Mission Ministries Ladies Luncheon with donor Kenlyn Duddleson. We heard from the program director as well as others, including one of the program graduates, an amazing organization who is dependent on community support, helping to change the lives of so many in need in our community. Last Thursday, I was invited to participate in the educational leadership panel discussions hosted by the Joliet Chamber Community Leadership Academy. Joined by Drs. Livingston, Guzman, Kale, and Walsh. We had fruitful dialogue responding to prepared and unsolicited questions from the participants. The Chamber's Leadership Academy provides a wealth of information to new leaders in the district, helping them to gain a better understanding of what Joliet and our community has to offer and how we partner. This past Monday, Trustee Mahalik joined me as we celebrated the top 25 students from Joliet Central, Joliet West, and Joliet Catholic Academy. I'm now working with Christy to prepare a congratulatory letter to those who noted attending JJC this fall, and we'll provide them with some type of a voucher towards their education when we welcomed them to campus. A reminder to all of our trustees that commencement is on May 20th. It'll be here before we know it. So please respond to Kelly Rogers with your preference on attending one or both ceremonies that day. We're truly excited about bringing our students and families back to campus to celebrate. I have one question, June board meeting. I would like to move to the City Center campus for the final meeting of the year. Our thoughts would be to hold the ribbon cutting for the pedestrian crosswalk and have a little ceremony prior to the meeting. So Kelly, again, will reach out to you to find out if there are any challenges, but if not, we will post that and move that meeting to City Center for June. Happy belated March birthdays to student trustee David Lozano. Your cheesecake's in the refrigerator. And thank you for your amazing stewardship and partnership and support. I have truly enjoyed working with you throughout the year, and I look forward to many great things in your future. And then lastly, welcome to Dr. Klein Namuo as JJC's 10th president. I look forward to working with him during his transition, and I know he will be extremely welcome and received by our JJC community. And that concludes my report.
Michelle Lee had a birthday last month.
She was last month. I
okay.
recognized her last month, and she did get her cake.
Oh, good. Okay, good.
So she got her cake and can eat it too.
Good. You got your cake, Michelle.
I'll tell you what, though, top students ones, Judy and I were sitting there, and there's like at Joliet Central, there's 10 coming to us from Joliet Central right off the bat, and then
Yeah.
the other ones are,
We had some undecided, so we've got some work to do.
yeah,
We'll get 'em.
I think you said you could put together a letter for all the students that were
Mhm.
recognized, a voucher in case they want to come back for
Yeah,
a future summer class or any kind of class they want
it's
to take.
exciting. Yeah. Amazing stories, successful students, so.
Okay, well, President's report is, I applaud everyone for getting us to the 10th president of the JJC, and it's all been approved. We're all good. And we're going to have a closed session. And so that's the sum and substance of my report. Closed sessions comes up with the agenda items 2C1, 2C2, 2C8, and 2C11. As soon as we're able.
And we'll remain in the boardroom.
Yes.
Is there any, there's no action.
No action after closed session.
No. So thanks, everybody.
Need a motion and a second.
Yes.
So moved?
Second.
Favorite guy, jump in.
Trustee Broderick.
Aye.
Trustee Budzinski.
Yes.
Trustee Garcia Guillen.
Yes.
Trustee Lee.
Yes.
Trustee Lozano.
Yes.
Trustee Mahalik.
Yeah.
Trustee Morales.
Yes.
Trustee O'Connell.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone, for all your work, and thanks for coming out tonight.